Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and today is the day Call of Duty Next happened. It was a 4-hour presentation where they covered everything Black Ops 6, from multiplayer to zombies to Warzone. They even talked about freaking Warzone and COD Mobile. They covered everything here today, and what we're going to be doing in this video is breaking down the multiplayer, talking about everything that we learned, because we did learn a lot, and I'm here to say that the news is pretty good overall in regards to the multiplayer. I will be discussing zombies and Warzone in separate videos, but today is all about the multiplayer because, guys, so much information came out. So Black Ops 6, as we know, is a game that's been in development for 4 years, and as such, you would really hope that the game is going to feel complete. I think Call of Duty is very notorious for releasing games that aren't quite complete. By Season 2, maybe Season 3, the game starts to feel more complete in recent years. Well, this year, it's going to be a little bit different because they have a lot of content right there on day one, with a lot of progression systems to keep fans interested for the long haul, as compared to leaving us always just waiting and waiting for more updates. It was revealed that we're going to have 16 original maps at launch, which is true. Here's going to be every single map that's going to be in the game when it launches. We're going to be getting 8 of them in the beta, which starts in just a couple of days, which is pretty freaking crazy. And some comments from the developers in regards to the maps were that they're mostly classic 3-lane with a focus on small to medium size, while still leaving enough room for meaningful decisions. A big part of the presentation today, of course, would be about omnidirectional movement and how all that is going to work and how the maps were designed with that movement in mind. And I've got to say, it looks pretty good overall. The maps themselves are nice and varied. They have that Black Ops vibe to them, and we're going to be dividing the maps up based on normal 6v6 and then strike maps. When the game comes out, 12 of the 16 maps are going to be traditional normal 6v6, and then 4 of them are going to be what they now call strike maps, which is basically just going to be an evolution upon the idea of small face-off gunfight maps that also work for 6v6. If you guys recall back during Black Ops Cold War, what they did is they gave us those small gunfight maps, but then eventually they made it so we could move away from 2v2 and 3v3 and start playing 6v6 on these really tiny maps. So they're doing that right from the start, which is cool. 4 strike maps, 12 larger maps, and when you're playing on the strike maps, for the sake of sanity, apparently, no kill streaks will be allowed, which I'm curious to see if that's going to be a good decision or not. I don't believe we had streaks back during Black Ops Cold War, but it would be interesting to see how those maps would play with kill streaks, and maybe that's something they could do for a limited time mode going forward. I guess we're gonna have to wait and see, but the maps themselves, classic 3-lane, focus on small to medium, 16 original maps at launch, including some of those really small face-off style maps, and overall, they look pretty good, at least in my own personal opinion. When it comes to the weapons, we may finally have an official report on what we're going to be seeing within the game. It was said during Call of Duty Next that there was going to be like 31 guns in the game at launch, which historically is not that many. Here we're going to be comparing what we saw in the older Black Ops games as compared to the newer Black Ops games. Back in the day, we had way more weapons. It's just a fact. Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, even to an extent Black Ops 3, it was only after that we started to get less and less weapons at launch, but the explanation coming from the developers is they want lots of variety, which actually makes sense. Less weapons equals more variety because every weapon is going to have its own unique identity, similar to Black Ops 4, where in general we had a lot less guns, but every gun served a purpose and every gun felt unique. And then I believe I heard something about them dropping 5 ranged weapons and 2 melee weapons during Season 1, which would be pretty freaking insane. And one of the big selling points they're trying to get fans over on is when the game launches, Black Ops 6, we're going to have 12 guns at launch that have never been in the Call of Duty franchise before. Obviously, we have returning favorites like the M16, the AK-47, the AK-74U, something that looks very similar to an MP5. Classic weapons, right? Things we've seen in past, things that are tried and true staples of the Call of Duty franchise. Those are going to be there, but 12 guns at launch are going to be in the game that we have never seen in the 20 years of the Call of Duty franchise being out, which is pretty freaking cool if you ask me. Now, when it comes to the weapons themselves, they're going to feel a bit more lethal. They talked about the time to kill in this game, and apparently they're going back to 100 health, and the way Matt Scrons described it is essentially it's going to be a slightly faster time to kill than what we had in Black Ops Cold War. So I don't think it's going to be as fast as a game like Modern Warfare 2019, but it's not going to be as slow as a game like Black Ops Cold War. It's going to be somewhere in between. The reason they gave for this is they don't want people to immediately die, like get insta-melted, which is how I feel when I play Modern Warfare 2 Remastered. Like, have you ever gone up against a stopping power from Moss at a range? You just feel like you get sniped. You drop so ridiculously quickly. So they don't want that, but they also don't want gunfights to be frustratingly long either, especially with all the omnidirectional movement. People are going to be able to get around corners a lot easier. People are going to be able to dive behind cover a lot easier. And if you have a really long time to kill in that environment, people just aren't going to die. So they changed the time to kill slightly. Based on the gameplay, it looks okay, but of course, we're going to have to wait and see how it really plays out when the community as a a whole gets their hands on this game when the beta goes live in a couple of days. They also talked about Gunsmith. So essentially Gunsmith is being revamped. They unfortunately, to my dismay, did not acknowledge whether or not they were going to have less attachments overall. I'm wondering, are we going to be getting 40 foregrips, 40 rear grips, 30 magazines, 100 different optical sights? I'm curious to see how that's going to play out, but they did say that attachments should always feel good to equip. So there's going to be way fewer cons to attachments in this game. Each attachment is going to focus on 1 to 2 big improvements for your gun, and it's almost like they've been watching my videos, that or they finally got some common sense knocked into them, because they said that confidence and clarity should be in Gunsmith without players feeling like they have to go online to figure out what the best attachments are, right? And I've been saying that for a while. You should not have to Google every time you want to make a class in a game like COD, because they have 100 different attachment choices and all of them have too many pros and too many cons, and like, it's just confusing. It's convoluted. I have not really been a big fan of Gunsmith ever since its inception, and apparently they're going to be streamlining the entire process with Black Ops 6, so I'm excited to see how that's going to go. They also say that optics are going to be shared across your class, so for example, if you unlock the red dot sight for your XM4, that will also automatically unlock that red dot sight for your AK-47. If you get a, I don't know, stupid example, but an ACOG for your MP5, it's also going to automatically unlock that for all your other submachine guns, so that's pretty nice. And they've also explained how we're going to be able to save our builds and blueprints across modes, like this global weapon system where if you put together your XM4 class, for example, in multiplayer, it's going to automatically save as a blueprint, essentially, so that you can easily access that exact same weapon mod while playing Zombies or Warzone, or maybe you change up your attachments and you want to go back, you can easily do that. They're trying to streamline the entire Gunsmith process, which I think is really good. So there's the core of the game's multiplayer. Obviously, they didn't talk about skill-based matchmaking or anything, but they talked about the maps, they talked about the guns, they talked about Gunsmith and the time to kill. That's all fine and dandy. That's all fantastic. But let's get into the meat and potatoes here. What really makes a COD game feel good for me personally is having a lot of progression within it, having things for you to go for, that carrot on a stick, the things that get you into the game and things that have you looking forward to the next match and the next match and the next match. They're always talking about player retention here within the Call of Duty franchise, and I think they're going to have a pretty easy time handling that this year because they have revamped so many things. So first things first, a new camo system is going to be implemented. They didn't go into too much detail about it, but new ways to unlock camos within the game to give you that sense of progress. They're bringing back reticle challenges as well as reticle customization, which is fantastic. And here we're going to be seeing every single mastery camo that is going to be within Black Ops 6 across multiplayer, zombies, and even Warzone. There's going to be mastery camos in Warzone as well, which is pretty freaking crazy. Of course, Prestige mode is back for the first time in 6 years. Blows my mind. The last time we had Prestige mode was freaking Black Ops 4. They're bringing back Classic Prestige, but they're making it even better. So how it's going to work is there's going to be levels 1 through 55 where you unlock everything, all the guns, all the perks, all the everything, and then from there, if you choose to Prestige, it's going to re-unlock your content. You're going to go back to level 1, and then you have to do it all again, similar to how we used to do things back in the day. You will get a permanent unlock every time you Prestige. So for example, let's say one of your favorite guns is unlocked at like level 43. Well, when you hit first Prestige, you can choose to bring that gun with you, or bring your favorite perk with you, or bring your favorite score streak with you, or whatever. Every single time you Prestige, you can choose basically one item to bring with you, which is nice. There's going to be 10 Prestiges plus 1,000 levels of Prestige Master, and each Prestige, this is actually so cool, is going to be themed and have its own separate challenges. There's going to be what they call high-value skins, blueprints, and charms created just for prestiging. Each Prestige is going to be themed after a different Black Ops game, including World at War. Oh, this looks good right here, man. And I love World at War. I'm just so nostalgic for that game. World at War is going to be the theme for Prestige 1. And don't worry, when you do Prestige, you're not going to be losing any weapon progression. You're not going to be losing your weapon builds or your challenge progress, like your camos or anything. Like, all that is going to stay. Your guns are just going to be locked until you acquire them at the appropriate level. So what we're going to be having here is every single Prestige being themed and having its own challenges and all being callbacks to older Call of Duty games. And if you do the math, I mean, this is Black Ops 6, so there's only 5 Black Ops games before this. Then you have World at War, so that's 6 of the 10 Prestiges. Well, what are they going to do with those final 4 Prestiges in terms of making them be themed after Black Ops? I'm thinking they might do some zombies themed Prestiges, but also I would really love to see a Blackout themed Prestige, maybe have some skins and rewards that harken back to Blackout, which was mentioned a couple of times throughout today's Call of Duty Next presentation. They didn't like say they're bringing back Blackout or anything, but they were making references to Blackout and how things were back in Blackout, so it's a possibility, I suppose, but overall, Prestige Mode is back and it sounds better than ever. That's going to give players a lot to work for, but also 100%er is back. Lo and behold, there's going to be actual challenges and things for you to grind for in this game, like we had in the older Call of Duty titles, most recently Black Ops 4. I'm pretty happy about that. The Dark Ops challenges are returning, but there will be 100%er challenges for multiplayer, zombies, as well as Warzone. Freaking wonderful, man. Between Prestige Mode and challenges coming back and then the new camo system and all the different mastery camos to grind for, there is always going to be something for you to work for within this game, which is fantastic. They really did not mention whatsoever, unfortunately, anything about the idea of aftermarket parts. They mentioned things like prototypes, but they didn't really go into any detail or anything, so I really hope that they take a page out of Sledgehammer's book and add those aftermarket parts into Black Ops 6, because having those weekly challenges and weekly updates and weekly things to grind for has been great for Modern Warfare 3, and the same would be true of Black Ops 6. We're just gonna have to wait and see if they end up doing that. On top of everything, they're talking about some refinements that they've added to the game, like map voting, of course, is going to be there. Best Play is going to be available for most game modes, but it's going to be Final Kill for Search and Destroy, which is fantastic. The Final Kill cam and Search is what people want. They don't want to see the stupid Final Play. But I would also say they should consider having Final Kill for game modes like Team Deathmatch and Free For All as well. Though it looks like right now Best Play is going to be for like every respawn mode, and then Final Kill is going to be for Search and Destroy. Theater mode, of course, is going to be returning, and then we have Ranked Play. They talked in depth about how they've been working on Ranked Play for a while, and it's kind of true. If you think about it, they've been making Ranked Play for games like Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, like all these other games, Treyarch's been handling the Ranked Play. Therefore, they've been kind of testing things out and seeing what works and seeing what doesn't, so you would think, in theory, that Ranked Play in Black Ops 6 is going to be the best Ranked Play that we've ever had, even though I would argue the first Ranked Play they had, which was freaking League Play back in Black Ops 2, was the best, but apparently it's going to be pretty good. You would think it would be, considering they've been working on ranked mode for other games for a number of years now, and they're considering this to be the definitive Ranked Play experience, and it's going to be launching in early Season 1. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you guys have it. There's pretty much everything that we learned about the multiplayer at Call of Duty Next. Of course, we got to watch a lot of gameplay as well. People are saying that the game looks incredibly sweaty. I got to address the elephant in the room here. People are saying the game looks incredibly sweaty because of the movement, and it's just going to be a miserable experience for the casual player. But you have to keep in mind, the footage we're watching here is literally nothing but YouTubers and Twitch streamers and pro players, right? Obviously, they're going to be sweaty. They only have a limited amount of time with the game at this event. They got flown out to Washington, D.C. to actually go and play this and record it early. Obviously, they want the best footage they can possibly get. They're going to be sweating their asses off. They're all live streaming. They're all recording. Like, that's just how things are going to go. The average experience in Black Ops 6 will be nothing like what we see here, although it is worth mentioning that skill-based matchmaking is, in fact, a thing. Therefore, we'll have to see. The beta is going to be like the big test to see exactly how the Omni movement is going to work with the general populace here within Black Ops 6. But overall, just looking at the multiplayer, I want to leave you guys off on this note right here. I'm curious to hear what you guys think down there in the comments. Definitely let me know about that. But the big thing for me, the big takeaway, is this seems like, at launch anyway, this is going to be the most complete game that we have had in a very long time. In terms of 16 maps, all original. Nuketown's not even going to be there at launch, for crying out loud. 16 maps at launch. 31 weapons is not amazing, if that is the official number. It's not amazing, but if they're all unique and have their own identity, then that's a positive right there. Having Prestige Mode right there from the very beginning, having 100%er and all the challenges right there from the very beginning, having reticle challenges and reticle customization returning right there from the very beginning, having things like Theater Mode there, updating the Gunsmith, making it more streamlined, not making it as confusing, like you have to have a PhD in gunfuckery to figure things out. That's fantastic, right? So it seems like at launch, it's going to be the most complete game that we've had in a long time. The question is, how is it going to play out in practice? Of course, we can talk about it till Vonderhaar comes home, but the beta is just 2 days away, and we're going to see what the gameplay is going to be like. We're going to be able to experience 8 of the 16 launch maps during the beta. I'm not sure how many weapons in total. There are going to be 30 levels for us to get through in total over the course of the 2 weekends, so we're going to have to wait and see. We're just a couple of days away, but I will say, based on what we saw during Call of Duty Next and the blog post they've given us and the intel that we've gotten from all the different developers that were at the event and everything, it sure does sound like Black Ops 6 is going to feel like an actual game, which is pretty nice as compared to, this past year where a lot of people said that Modern Warfare 3 kind of felt like a DLC. I'm seeing a lot of people saying the same thing about this game. They're like, man, they didn't do anything different. It's just Cold War. It's a Cold War DLC. I'm like, man, they changed the time to kill. They're all new maps. The movement is 110% different. Like, what do you want them to do? Add jetpacks again? They already did that years ago, you know? Like, I don't know what people expect when they see a sequel to a Black Ops game looking like a Black Ops game. Like, in terms of gameplay, it's going to be a lot different compared to what we had before. Like, looking at Black Ops Cold War to this game, yes, visually it may look that way, but if you're the kind of person that just looks at it and go, man, the colors look kind of similar, it's like, well, dude, you're not really looking at the overall gameplay itself to really understand what's happening here, because again, changing up the gunplay, changing up the time to kill, changing up the movement in general is going to change the game fundamentally. Changing up how the score streaks work compared to what we had back during Black Ops Cold War is also going to change things. Having 16 brand new maps to run around and play on, revamping the game mode so that we have objective zones as compared to flags, changing up hardpoint, making it so that they have numbers on them at each new location to kind of streamline that process. Like, in general, they're making a lot of improvements and also changing a number of things here. So I'm interested to see how the community feels about this. Let me know your thoughts and feedback down there in the comments. Thank you all so much for listening, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.